It is safer to search in the maze than to remain in a cheeseless situation.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is the Champion Reads podcast where we talk about best-selling books and we read as many of them as we can, and we like to just provide our opinions. This is not a factual podcast, but more of our thoughts, and we want to get you excited to go grab the books to read them as well. We also provide our own what we call Rotten Tomatoes scores of these amazing books. And by the way, we picked from the cream of the crop. Therefore, these books are fantastic already. There are a lot of classics. There are a lot of great books, bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers, and more. And these books have shaped not only business owners and entrepreneurs, but they've changed lives. And so we kind of choose from that cream. And it's been a really fun road. We've done over 50 books. We've rated about 30 plus books, and today we're going to wrap up part 3 of our discussions of a book called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And joining me today, my name's John Kovach Jr. I'll be your host, and joining me as co-host and co-producer of the show is Ian Stermer. Ian, welcome, and we're glad you're here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And we were excited to just show off a few new features on the podcast. If you're watching the video feed, our StreamYard, which is what we use and host our podcast on, has a spooky Halloween theme. And even though spooky Halloween was like over a week ago, I'm just in it right now. It's just my I'm still in spooky season. I'm
still spooked out.
Exactly. I got my pumpkin spice today, and I'm just feeling the holidays. So we decided let's just throw the spooky theme up there. And we've got this cute little skeleton in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen if you're watching the video. So we've asked him to join us. He will not be sharing his opinion, but he will be silently judging us throughout the entire session. So we're excited to have him on here. But anyways, we wanted to actually kick things off with a special new announcement before we jump into this book right here. This would be part 3 of Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And we've got a few things we want to talk about, given the quote you just heard from Ian. But we have another big announcement. And Ian, I don't want to steal the thunder at all. I want you to tell us what is releasing soon and why they should go and get it on pre-order. I'll hand the mic over to you.
Oh, thank you. So releasing soon is my first solo effort at a book. I've been able to collaborate with some wonderful people on a couple books before. I have just put mine on Amazon for pre-order. It will be available on November 14th for a download of a outrageous price of 99 cents, unless the sales just spike, and then I'll raise the price. It is called Sunny the Yellow Swan, and it is a entirely different type of book than we do here. It's actually a children's book from an idea I had many, many years ago. We all know the story of the ugly duckling, but I thought, what if there was a duck who was adopted into a family of swans? And ducks are beautiful, bright yellow creatures, and swans are kind of dull gray ones. So what would it be like if there was a beautiful baby into an average other group of babies? So this short book is about friendship, sisterhood, and the magic of cookies. So without giving away the amazing twist ending and edge of your seat plot line of this, but it's a simple and I think a sweet little story that's kind of uplifting for young children.
I love that. I mean, you check all my boxes: friendship, sisterhood, and of course, cookies. I'm there.
Yeah.
So excited. And pre-orders are now available. What an awesome release. And it's been an inspiration of yours for years now. what I got to ask you, and I know I turned this podcast on you, but to catch you off guard, but just to catch the like pure emotions of this, what inspired you not to write the book, but to finally take action and release the book?
There were two things. The first and most important of those is earlier this year, I had my first grandchild. So my granddaughter got me thinking a lot about the times I spent with my kids reading to them, and not that I was a perfect parent all the way, but I think I inspired a love of reading and books in my children, especially my daughter, who is now the mother of my granddaughter, who probably reads more books than the two of us combined in a year, maybe almost as much as our other co-host, Willie, if you'd been on his podcast with us. So the first was thinking, what if I could write a book to share with my granddaughter? And just how wonderful that is. And the second is a little bit less emotional, but as technology changes and I'm delving into the world of AI and what AI is able to do, I realized that I could create the images for this book through AI. And I wish I had a true artist to do those. And maybe the next book I'll be able to collaborate if somebody sees this and likes it. So if you're an artist listening, feel free to reach out to me. But that huge stumbling block of how can I write a book? I'm not an artist. I can't draw these pictures. I can't make these. How do I find someone and have them catch the vision of what I want without insulting them and saying, that's not what I want, change it. But the tools are there. This roadblock was just removed through technology. And that was just a huge thing that we don't have these barriers of entry that we used to. There's no excuse anymore. Really, that hit me. There was absolutely no excuse that I couldn't take this idea, this storyline that I'd worked out and turn it into right now it's a virtual copy of a book, but the paperback hopefully will come out soon as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'd like to put our hands and virtual hands together and congratulating you in advance. So please, yes, add the applause. I'm getting really technical with all of our fancy little buttons. Willie gave me the controls, and now I'm unhinged. So there we go. We got the skeleton, we got the spooky background, and we've got applauses.
And I thought that was our studio audience applauding.
Yes. And because I'm addicted to working from coffee shops, I'm joining from us on a mobile location as well today. So forgive the background noise if there is any at all. But I'm excited to dive into this, Ian. So I want to bring up on the screen here a couple things. Number one is we need a drum roll.
Yes.
Let's talk about Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And also, I think it's interesting. So actually, another thing I'd like to fancily bring up onto the screen here is a banner that is the quote that you shared as we jumped on this podcast. And it is safer to search in the maze than to remain in a cheeseless situation. Now, to all my Midwesterners and cheeseheads out there, this is really important because whether lactose intolerant or not, you can't deny how great cheese is. And let's talk about this. Like cheese makes the world go around. I just had the greatest. It's actually in your neck of the woods, Ian. There is one of the greatest. What is it called? Philly cheesesteaks in my life, and it's just down the road from where you live. In I want to say it's in Bountiful, or right across the street from Woods Cross. And this local guy, I mean, it's a cash business. You show up, he's got a basket. You literally drop cash in the basket, and then you give your own change. There's like 5 items on the menu, and you get the traditional cheese whiz. And I didn't know I needed this in my life until I had it. But when I tried it, oh my goodness, it was amazing. And to read this quote and to compare it to cheesesteak, it is safer to search in the maze than to remain in a cheeseless situation. I did not know what I was missing until I had that sandwich. And now
I've got to jump in here and complain for a second, because I live in Bountiful, Utah, and you have not told me about this. So
I'll be sending you the location today.
Yes, please do.
And you got to get there like before 1 o'clock, because they work until they're sold out of supply for the day. So they're that kind of business too. It's amazing. I'll get you the location and name. I'll look at my photos here while we're chatting. But anyways, I love this because this to me is such a great phrase, because it's giving you the positive side of keep searching, keep looking, be adaptable, look beyond the one spot. Because when the cheese goes missing, which we've talked about in this book, again, for those who are just now joining us, we've done 2 episodes where we talk about Who Moved My Cheese. It's about 2 mice and 2 humans, mini humans, who are stuck in a maze, and the maze has cheese, but then all of a sudden when the cheese goes missing, there are the habits of those to complain and wonder and cry why the cheese is gone. And then there are others who decide, you know what, let's go look for new cheese. And it's a relatable story to anyone in business, anyone who's looking to grow personally and to find ways to find solutions in their life. Because when the cheese goes missing, life is a lot happier searching for the cheese than to have a cheeseless life. And I'm grateful to kick things off with that regard, because to me, this is just a powerful book and a great reminder that, look, there's so many ways you can deal with change. And I know as humans, we hate change. Like, I like to pretend I like change. It's kind of my affirmations. Like, I roll with the punches. I eat change for breakfast. Like, I'm okay with it. But that's all to mask what true human I am. And that is, we all hate change. There's no way we can adapt, like with a positive mindset and attitude every single time change occurs. But at that same time, change is inevitable. Therefore, learning how to adapt quickly. And I'll pass it over to you, Ian. But one of my favorite quotes is by the motivational speaker Les Brown, and he says, "When you get knocked over, learn to fall on your back, because if you can look up, then you can get up." And he's not saying if you get knocked on your back. He says when you get knocked on your back. And that's just how life goes. You are going to get knocked back. You are going to get put into a situation where there is options. And the option is to sit there and complain and wish that the cheese never left. And why me and why this? But you can also say, you know what? I can look up, I can get up, and I can go and find another pile of cheese. What would you like to add, Ian?
Yeah. You're talking about change and people not liking change. And a fun story, a few days ago, I was returning something in Costco and chatting with the cashier that was doing the return. And I forget, I don't know how we got onto this conversation, but he said, I used to go out with this guy. We'd go to the store and he hated change, and he would just like leave the change, any coins change. He would just leave it on the counter and walk away. So he said, so I just started scooping that change up and taking it. And a while later, we went into the bank, and I turned this pile of change into the cashier, and it was about $100. And my friend said, how did you get that much change? I said, well, all that change you leave on the counter, I just kept grabbing it, and now it's $100. And he said his friend was really upset with him. But that's kind of change, and change, absolutely pun intended there. But how much do we hate the effort of grabbing those coins? They're heavy, they're annoying, wouldn't it better just leave the coins there? What's a few cents here and there? What does it matter? Let me just ignore it. I'm going to live my life and go on with it. And then somebody else comes along and sees that change and grabs it. And now they're $100 richer than we are, because they recognized a value in a simple change. And I think today's world, that resonates with me. Again, AI is not to beat that horse to death, but we are really at a point where that is an amazing change for us. And a few simple adaptations of that change will, okay, I don't want to say change too much, but will change our life. Whether it's the simplest AI added into the Google search results that now help us to find an answer rather than just direct us to a website that thinks they have an answer or a product for it. We're seeing how we can recognize that. Not to toot my own horn again with the book that I just wrote, but I could not do it without AI. And I am a absolute neophyte in the AI world. But I was able to take those few pieces and say, you know what, I need to embrace this change and realize there's something I can get from that, instead of saying, you know, I am happy with my Alta Vista search engine. I don't need anything more than a Pentium 286 computer. And, you know, electricity is just a passing fad. We've got to adopt some of these changes. We've got to search the maze and find these, because remaining in a cheeseless situation, we're going to see it, people all around us succeeding in business and in life, because they're making the changes we aren't. So it's kind of my thought is, if we don't embrace some of these changes, at least on an introductory level, we really are left behind and not able to achieve the goals that we would be able to otherwise.
You know, I love that. And you got me thinking, and I wanted to remind myself, have I ever been in a physical, literal maze? And being spooky season, I remind myself that they have corn mazes now at times this time of year. And yes, I've been to quite a few spooky corn mazes, and I was thinking about my like excitement around corn mazes, and I don't know if I absolutely love them, but I do them for the fun of like the group and going out and like trying to find our way through, and you know, that excitement, especially when the spooky ones, because it adds an element of like, you know, just like walking through it with other people and the frighteningness. Wow, John, that's a great word. But they're fright, right? But then they're the kinds where you just like have to work your way through it, and there's like a maze that has maps, and you get through those, and oftentimes it's very rare that I have like officially finished a maze with cutting corners or finding a different solution that worked for me in that scenario. For example, corn isn't like a wall where you cannot pass through anything. You can cut through corn mazes. You could literally like pick an aisle and walk through the entire corn maze in one straight line and get to where you think you want to go. And I've done that on occasion, but I think about that as like a solution. You know, it is still safer to go searching and to do whatever you feel is necessary or best for your situation than to just remain in a situation where you're like, well, if I stay here, I'm never going to leave this maze, and I will succumb to my injuries or my circumstances, and I will just be here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be. And that sounds like a very, very sad perspective. And I know that there are people out there in the world, whether they're going through a hard time, they're in an environment where, you know, they don't feel like they can truly progress or get out of it. But that's just it. I think in a way that's your cheese. If you're able to see life outside of your current environment. And I know that's a very broad stroke. I know that's a very huge assumption, because some people are in dire situations, like I don't want to get negative here, but like there are situations that we shouldn't talk about on this podcast, but they're relevant to a lot of people. And that could be, you know, a violent environment. It could be a toxic environment. It could be an abusive environment. It could be any one of those things, or even darker. And is there a way out? And the answer is within you. Yes. You know, you've got to see and find and search a way out. I think about the, and again, I don't want to go down this dark route, but it just came to my mind that I have a lot of friends who are Jewish, and it's natural and interesting to still talk about the Holocaust, and we talk about, you know, the stories and the various people who are still alive today, and those who still have talked about the stories of their experience in the Holocaust and having been stationed in one of the outfits, like Auschwitz. And anyways, the one thing that they all think about is family or love or survival, and getting out of there was their number one mission and goal. And for those who did make it out, I mean, it's an absolute miracle, but that was worth living for than staying in the actual concentration camps. And I think about that because, I mean, I know what I did. I did the wrong thing in a podcast where you take the extreme example and you bring it into the context. But all I wanted to say and add in this, without getting too deep and dark, is we truly have a mindset option, and that is go search. It is much happier, much safer. There is so much more purpose and mission in a journey than there is to just remain and succumb to your own being and circumstances. And I'm not saying don't take breaks, don't just enjoy your life and smell the roses and take it in where you're at, but I am saying keep searching, because that makes life worth living. And anyways, I'll try to get us out of this dark hole. I wanted to kind of fuel that mission and talk about, have I been in a maze? Yes, I have. And it's more fun to get out.
It is. And not to carry through too much there, but obviously an incredible book if people haven't read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Not to delve into the darker side of that, but he brings up a great concept in there that searching the maze isn't always a physical moving through a maze. It's not always looking for a different place, a different cheese station. Sometimes that searching through the maze is searching through the mental situation that you are in. And, Dr. Frankl in his I guess I say a memoir. I don't want to say a book because that throws out the fiction, nonfiction thing. Definitely a nonfiction book. But he was able to search the maze of his mind and his emotions and his feelings to put himself into a better situation mentally, where he was able to cope with horrors beyond what anyone should ever dream of, let alone have to face. Now, to put that into a very lighthearted compared to that, I think the worst maxim out there that people say that harms us more than anything else is, well, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. No, that's wrong. It is, if you're stuck with the devil, go find a different one, okay? Because if you're in a terrible situation, and again, I'm not saying that there aren't times there are things beyond someone's control, but mentally, or, I hear all the time, oh, I hate my job. My boss is just a big meanie. Life is so horrible from that. Well, go do something different then. There's nothing good to eat in the refrigerator. Well, go shopping and buy something you like. It's not a hard concept in these cases. It's safer to go down to the grocery store and look for some better cheese than to sit in the kitchen and complain that the Cheese Whiz is expired. Now, did I bring it away from the dark side?
Yeah, you saved us. Thank you. I went dark, and Ian, you brought us out of that hole. I couldn't agree more. Like, change is the solution to change, right? So when something goes missing from your life, or if your situation is not where you want it to be, the answer is try something new, do something different, make it happen. I was laughing when you were saying, like, nothing good in the fridge, we'll go find some new food. I was like, what have I said lately? Oh, I told my wife, I said, I have nothing to wear and I have a full closet of clothes. Yeah. Are you a woman? Or that I feel that way because I've worn my clothes to death, and I've worn them. I think it's when you're on television, on stage, and when you're on live stream so often, you feel like it's been recorded that that's what you wore, and so you're like, I have nothing to wear now because it's all been seen by the world. But that's so untrue. But anyways, in that light, I love this concept. This is such a classic book, and I want to say thank you to you, Ian, for introducing potentially, and if not, we'll decide behind the scenes here. But we're adding Viktor Frankl's book to our list, and hopefully that could be the next one or one of the next ones, because it's been on my list to read it this year, and I have not yet read it. It's been a few years since I've read it, and it's a great, great story and a reminder of just why life is worth living and what, that search, what that journey is all about. And I think it's a great one to add to our list. And so, any final thoughts before we wrap this part of the show up and go to our Rotten Tomatoes review of Who Moved My Cheese? Anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had a thought, and I don't know if it fits into the review side or the wrapping up side. I guess I'll try and wrap it up, and I'll save this one. So that's called foreshadowing in literature. That this is going to happen later on. Obviously, I love these books that are kind of story based, because I can learn so much more from a story than a textbook, I think. And this is a very simple storyline that I think can resonate with pretty much everyone who reads it. They're going to see themselves in parts of it. And just to recognize that, the things that we get upset about, the hopelessness we see in our daily lives, which is generally a lot more minor. We're not talking about, Dr. Frankl level stuff here. We're talking about, I hate my Monday morning meeting because they're all out of blueberry bagels. There's those aren't important, and there's some simple things we can do. And it's just, sniff and scurry and hem and haw, and finding the pieces of those to move forward and recognize that it's not that big of a deal. You're in control. You can do something about it. And, there's hope, which is, I guess I hadn't really thought of the word hope, but as we've talked about this, that's the end result of this book is you're in control and there's hope. You can do something. It's just a matter of, are you going to or not? Are you going to take the steps? Are you going to search the maze? Are you going to learn from the corners you go around? Or are you going to sit there and whine that all the cheddar is gone and provolone just doesn't have enough flavor to it, and life is life is dumb because I don't have the cheese that I used to in my last job or my last relationship or my last whatever. Go get some new cheese. And I'll just say that this is much better. The Who Moved My Cheese is a much better book than the sequel, Who Cut My Cheese. So,
wait, I need, where did it go? Here it is.
Yeah. And my apologies to Dr. Johnson on that.
I'm sure he hasn't. I'm sure that's been said before.
Probably.
That's so funny. I'll add to my thoughts before we do our review. I always go back to the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, and what truly makes a Hobbit interesting, because when they live in their comfort, they're really just boring, a boring group of existing, characters in the world of Tolkien, right? But what makes a Hobbit interesting is when they leave the Shire, because now they see the world from the small perspective that is the Shire, and it's a powerful rule and sentiment to go and journey into whatever is out there. And yeah, you're right, that subliminal theme of hope was really unspoken until you said it, and I love that, because it is truly what we need. This is a great reminder. So a huge shout out to Spencer Johnson, who also works with and has in this book, the foreword was written by Ken Blanchard, who's an amazing person in the personal development world, and co-authors with the 1 Minute Manager. It's just a powerful book. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my my score sheet here, and this is a score out of 10. And excuse me. And since we don't have Willie here today, I will pull Willie's average score as an example of where it lies on the spectrum, but we will get an official score and rating from him once he reads the book, and I'll update our thoughts. But for me, I'm going to give this book and can I come back to screen? Hold on, and then I'm going to give myself a drum roll because I'm unhinged and I love the little features of this podcast. I'm going to give this book a solid 7.9. And the reason why is its nostalgia is there. Its simplicity is fantastic. It is one of the creams of the crops of personal development and self-growth books, albeit a very minor focus in such a greater world. I think it's a very great read. It's a must read. It's not quite in my top 10 reads, but it's something I would highly recommend. In fact, it comes up in masterminds more than you would expect because of just how great of a read it is. And you can pick this book up anywhere. Millions of copies sold throughout the world. I mean, we walk into thrift stores and secondhand bookstores all the time to get ourselves a book bargain. And I'll tell you, like, there's just so many ways to grab this book. I think I've picked up maybe 10 copies throughout my life, of which I've given most away, and all were like $1 or $2. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it for the expensive price of $9.99 at Barnes and Noble or Indigo or wherever you buy your books, and it's a powerful book. So I have given it a rating of 7.9. Ian, let's hear your score and reasons behind Rotten Tomatoes. Humu.
Okay, yeah. I had to wait for the drum roll to finish. I was all excited to jump in there. I'm going to up you just a little bit, and I'm going to put it at an 8. And part of this, I had to look this up to make sure I got it right. It has sold just shy of 30 million copies. Okay, 30 million copies that's a lot. And there's a reason for that. And again, there's some nostalgia. This is an older book. It came out in 1998. So reading it now, parts of it seem a little bit dated as you read it. And because it is such a seminal book, it's been referenced and the concepts have been redone in countless books since then. So when I'm reading it, it doesn't necessarily sound fresh. And that's probably what brought it down to that very low score of 8 out of 10 instead of 9. But the concepts are so timeless. And I think this is one of those books that when you read it will have a dramatic effect on how influential this book is with you. And even the fact that sadly to say, I've heard of this book and knew the concepts, but I first read it about 6 weeks ago, just before we started this, was the first time I actually sat down and actually stood up and walked and listened to the audio for the first time all the way through. And thought, it's a nice book. There's good concepts. I get that. And then, over the last couple of weeks, I've delved into a couple of changes and trying to find my way through another maze. And now I'm saying, wow, I see how this fits in. I see where this goes. And I think this is more than probably any other book we've read here. The state of mind we're in is going to affect how influential this book is. And I think that's a key to making it so great. As we mentioned earlier, Dr. Johnson wrote this as he was going through a divorce. It took him 10 years to write the book as he dealt with what he was going through and put this together. And he mentioned that in the afterword as he was talking about it, that people come up to him and say, I read it when I was 20 and again when I was 30 and now when I'm 40, and I gained so many new things. So if you read this book and it didn't resonate with you, you just happen to be at the wrong point in your life. And, I know people give them to the bookstores, the used bookstores, but keep a copy on your bookshelf or on your Kindle or other reading device, because I'm seeing this is one I'm going to need to go back to throughout my life. And I absolutely convinced I will learn new perspectives. It will be a new book every time I read it. So a solid 8.
I love it. And you heard it here first, folks. That was a weird one to say for me. You heard it here first, folks.
Well, good talking words putting together is what communicators do, like you are one of, right?
Me communicator, me write books. With a score of 7.9 and you, Ian, a 8 solid and an average score of Willie's 6.85. It is unofficial, but Who Moved My Cheese is just at the brink of our top 10 list, which is awesome. It's right up there with Oversubscribed, The Little Red Book of Selling by Jeffrey Gitomer, and Alter Ego Effect by Todd Herman. It's up there. It's really close to our top 10 list. And so it is either up to Willie to push it into that top 10 or to drop it dramatically. But his average score pushes it pretty close. And we'll get his score officially after he reads it. But I'm grateful for this book. And then as we bring this episode to a close, we just want to thank you and ask you guys, please subscribe to our channel, send us some love, send us an email to our team at mychampionscircle.com. That's where we receive all of our team emails regarding our Champion Circle. This podcast is brought to you by Champion Circle, which is a professional development association built on the foundations of coaching through accountability to help you achieve your goals as fast as possible and to accelerate your results. And we're all about doing that and helping you. So that's why this is an opinionated podcast, because what we truly want you to do is feel motivated to go and accomplish whatever it is that you're setting your goals out to. And given that today's spooky season theme, we're getting to the end of the year. This is the 4th quarter. It's go time. It's time to finish your year off strong. Don't stay in the maze, but find your way through the maze and go searching. Have an inkling of hope to get you through the year, and to do so thriving, not surviving. And I think that's a powerful reminder to all of us. And so, Ian, I want to say thank you for your help today and making this podcast just fun and awesome and full of dad jokes. And we couldn't do it without you, truly. And as we see you guys next time, we'll be announcing the next book here shortly. And we just want to say thank you for joining us on the Champion Reads podcast.
Thank you.